about this love, about this, about this love, about this love. How you guys doing? You are listening to About This Love today with myself, Dale Skinner, and my wife Sherelle. We are back after a long break. A lot's been going on. Had a baby. It's the same week the next week was our anniversary. So today's episode, we just want to reflect over the past 3 years of our marriage, and just just have some discussion, have some dialogue. Also, I did want to note that from this point forward, we're not gonna do it in seasons anymore. We had a discussion. We just want to drop episodes. So this will be episode 18. So if it comes up kind of weird, don't worry about it. It's not you, it's us. Now on with the discussion. So this year, February 11th made 3 years that we've been married. We are now going into our fourth year. The same a month earlier in the month, February 2nd, our daughter was born, second child. So we've been off been on a break for a while, and while we've been off, we've kind of been reflecting over the past 3 years of our marriage, and what we've learned, a lot of our achievements, a lot of our failures, and just kind of want to help people who are looking to get married or who are married, and just want to know that they're not alone. You're not alone. We've had this discussion with quite a few of our friends who are also married, and I mean it's always relieving when you hear couples say that they had some of the same struggles.
Yeah, I agree. It is a relief to hear that some couples that you look up to that has been married much longer than you and I have been through some of the struggles. Maybe the scenario might be different, but it's not as though they hadn't had hardship in their marriage, and especially in the very beginning.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think one of the things that I think about when I think about being married the first few years is just the two cultures having to kind of get acclimated. Like whenever you're bringing two cultures together, it it is rather challenging at first because
Mhm.
oftentimes your spouse may do things differently, may cook differently, may just have a whole different routine that he or she may have gotten or developed from being in the culture, being in around their mom and dad. Just the culture of their parents' house. So a lot of the things that we bring into marriage is just our culture that we just did how we did things. Like one of the things about my wife's family is that her family is real celebratory. When it's time for birthdays and things like that, they like to celebrate. But in my family, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so that was never really a big thing of ours. So now that when birthdays and stuff come around, while I'll say happy birthday, I won't really. In the beginning of our marriage, I really didn't go out of my way to do anything special. So I'm just kind of learning that as I've been married for years, that that my wife's family is kind of celebratory. So that was just the culture of her family. So her and my son, they kind of look forward to that. Versus me, when it's my birthday, my wife say, "Yeah, I don't really care. You can give me a piece of cupcake and you know call it a day."
I mean, it's not that you don't like to celebrate, but I think to say more so, you don't look forward to celebrating, if that makes sense. Not look forward to it, but that's just not something you would just kind of expect. Like, I think there's something that I learned from from being married to you for 3 years now, going into our fourth year. Um, and I guess I learned this about myself was just that we don't have to agree on everything. Like we obviously, you ever think when you're dating someone or when you're seeking out to date somebody that you want to be with someone who's not just like you, but has the same mindset as you, and you may have a lot of things in common, but for you and I felt as though um, we had a lot of things. Our values were very common, were very similar, and that's what we connected off of: our spirituality, our values, just the walk that we were choosing to live in life, to walk out in life. However, like we don't agree on a lot of things, and having a difference in opinion, that was really difficult in the beginning because it's like, well, why are you just being opposite? It sounds like you're just being opposite of me, but it's like, no, you will always say to me, like, I don't think that way. Like, that's not what I think. That's the way you think. That's not how I think. Um, and so I think that was really difficult for me, like in the beginning of our marriage. And then I'm just like, okay, we don't have to agree on everything. And that's okay. That doesn't mean, that there's like love lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like, you know, you're your own person. I'm my own person. Even if we were twins, even if, I had a twin, we still wouldn't, you know,
Agree on everything.
agree on everything exactly. And even then, I mean, would you want someone who's just as, I don't know, ignorant or as shallow as like, you could be, not you per se, but some of the things that we have about ourselves. And it's like if you get with someone who's maybe just as childish as you in the same areas, like would you really grow?
I think that in some cases people really don't know how childish, or they probably won't understand how childish they are until they meet somebody that like just like them. So it's like, oh man, this is how I act. Yeah, this is how you act. So, but nah, no, I definitely agree with you though. One of the other things that I've learned about being married, and it's funny because like I never really knew this, but and I guess I'll say it's because like when you are, and I was gonna say I don't like to argue. I don't not arguing, but I don't like to yell and scream. I think that when you are like engaging with coworkers or just friends that you don't really live with, it's cool to do that. But when you actually get a spouse and you realize, yo, I really don't like this at all. You know what I'm saying? Like recently, and it's not even in my own household. It's just like at work. It's like I come home to my wife. I feel like it's kind of like at times hostile in the sense that people just they just like to argue. I was like, yo, I realize I don't like to argue. Like I don't like to sit there and just have a screaming match. Like I don't mind talking to somebody. Like we can sit down and talk and take notes. When you talk, I'll take notes, and when I talk, it's up to you if you want to take notes or not. But it's like I don't want to sit there and have a screaming match. I don't. I realize that I don't like that. That's not really my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but when you have a conversation with someone, I think there's a level of relationship that you have to have with them to even. Oh, disclaimer, guys. There's also a baby in the studio with us who is napping, but also getting comfortable.
Yeah.
She's comfortably napping. The addition to our family. So if you hear grunts and whimpers, it's just the baby getting comfortable. But the show must go on. But no, like I was saying, you know, there I think there has to be a level of relationship for for those who want to have a conversation. If someone's arguing with you, I think you take a step back and you're like, well, what exactly are we talking about? Because if you notice, it's like even some of the things that you and I talk about, like our our personal conversations where it's just you and I, and not a group conversation where maybe friends are involved. It's like you sit back and you think about, well, am I talking about something that's on my heart, something of value? Is this something that means something to me, where I want you to hear my heart, versus am I just saying, hey, can you go grab this, or hey, this was on my mind, or I just thought about, oh gosh, I forgot to get the groceries, or you see with the lady cut me off in line in the grocery store today, kind of thing, and you ignoring it, versus, or me, elevating my voice so you can hear me, versus like, hey, this is something on my heart. I really want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to be engaged in the conversation, kind of thing. I think with coworkers, it's almost like, what are y'all talking about anyways? And then you go back and, reevaluate your relationship with them. Do I have to go back and face them, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yes and no. I say yes because with any outside relationship other than marriage or family, and even family, the relationship can somewhat, it can have a shallow approach to it because it's like we just get to come together every day for a common goal, and that's cool. But I think I'll say no because especially in my field, where the work can be very dangerous. Like it's like we have to be able to communicate, because us not communicating could be a matter of life and death for one of us. So it's like, no,
Yeah.
we have to be able to communicate. And I think sometimes I mean we definitely do communicate pretty efficiently.
At
But
work.
yeah, at work, but sometimes things just kind of get heated. And like one of the things I would say is that like even like just the whole thing alone. Like the other day, me and my wife we were having a conversation. When we were having a conversation about like why I don't like yelling or shouting like and even I didn't even realize it, but I think I was driving home from work or I was doing something, and the Lord actually kind of showed me why I didn't like it, and it was it stems from a childhood trauma.
Mm.
I won't go into details, but basically, it's just childhood trauma. The Lord actually revealed to me this is why you don't like it because it kind of reminds you of when you was a child and A, B, C, and D. So I feel like oftentimes when you do get married to somebody, I feel like people kind of neglect to ask people about their past. It's like, well, it don't matter. The past don't matter. Like I was watching
Oh, the
some.
past is the
Yeah,
past.
I was watching something on YouTube today, and like a guy and a girl was trying to get together, and she was like, "Well, I don't care about your past; it don't matter." And I'm like, "No, no, the past actually does matter. I don't care what people think or what they feel. No, the past does matter. Because unfortunately, how a woman may have treated a guy bad in his past may reflect how he see women now. Vice versa. How a dude may have dogged a woman in her past may reflect how she see men now or how she see her husband now. So it's like, no,
Mm.
your past does matter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it matters in the sense that he or she's broken goods. No, it matters in the sense that I need to be able to reflect on my past and see what hurts may still be there, so we can talk about them, collaborate, and seek healing on those issues. They matter in that regard. I mean, they don't matter in the sense that it happened. No, I mean, what's done in the past is done, but it does matter. It does matter, and it should matter if it's still something that still something that's bringing hurt in a person's life now from whatever wounds may have been inflicted in the past by whoever. Then they do matter. So I'm a big supporter of when you decide to like engage someone in a relationship in the sense that it's going to lead to marriage. I feel like both parties should definitely get together and talk about the past. Because oftentimes I feel like the past can unveil a lot of things about a person. You know what I'm saying? Like I said on a past episode. I said, oftentimes when people don't want to get married and you wondering why, and you never never kind of know why. But I've spoken to people who have, when they were young, parents got a divorce, so because of that, they don't want to get married. So it's like if you are in a relationship with somebody and you're looking to marry them, but they don't want to get married because of that reason alone, it would be nice for you to know that so you could kind of walk them through that hurt if need be, if they're interested in kind of walking those things out with the Lord in yourself.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that's even if I think that could also translate to even if they want to, if you would want to continue on a relationship with them, you know,
Yeah,
because honestly, I think that because people see they see dating as like an open market, like a fish market almost. Like I can go to like a marketplace and kind of okay, what is most appealing? What vendor is more appealing? Um, okay, and what item on the shelf is more appealing? Ooh, look, I have so many options. I'll just choose this one, see how it goes. Oh, that doesn't work well? Well, fine. I'll toss that back or I'll, set that down and I'll choose another one and see how that goes. And it just seems like that's kind of the mindset that people take when it comes to dating is that you choose anyone, and if it goes well then it goes well, if it doesn't then I have so many more options, I'll just go back to the market, and just choose another one. And they really don't look into the details of a person. They don't take the time to say, is this really a good fit for me, other than, hey, I'm already with this person. I invested my money or I invested my time into, you know, trying to be with this person. And so because I've done that, I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to continue on. We've already kind of got a history together.
which is
We've
kind of scary. Think
Yeah,
about it.
we've done things together, and so why would I want to throw that away to have to start all over? That's and in their mind, they think that's scary having to start over. And I'm just kind of like, the more and more I think about my marriage to you, I do think about some of the carelessness and people's choices, and how it's like, wow, there's a level of things that I don't have to deal with in our marriage, just as far as, abuse or not being taken care of, properly taken care of, things like that. You know what I'm saying? That other people will have to deal with just in the dating phase. In the dating phase, and they still want to be married to that person for the sake of saving face, for the sake of what I say, for the sake of saving face, for the sake of, not letting themselves down, or not showing themselves vulnerable to the world, or not showing that they can't keep a man or keep a woman. And it's like, it's really not worth it. It's not worth it. And like you said about looking into the person's past, do you even take the time to look into someone's past? Like,
If
have
they'll
you?
tell you at that.
Yes, if they'll tell you, if they even want to explore it. And I mean, it's just kind of like, yeah, I found out along the way, that was revealed to me. Oh, shocker. They had been, I don't know, mistreated, touched as a child. And now it's like they don't want to have children because of it. And you would never know, because it's like, no, we got together. You love me. I love you. Why can't we have kids? There's actually a celebrity who got a divorce from her husband because she didn't want children and he wanted kids, and that was, it came to that fork in the road where it was like, well, what are we going to do? And so they got a divorce. And he, like, months later, before like the ink dried on the paper, on the divorce papers, he had some other woman pregnant with his child because he wanted children.
Yeah.
And I mean, and she talked about her trauma. She didn't go into detail, but she did talk about her trauma. But she said, that was the agreement when we got married. But, people still like, oh, I know we said that we would live this kind of life, but I want kids, or, I want to actually live in this state, or, I want to do something different than what we agreed on. Times have changed. So are you ready? You want to change too? And it's like, no, I made myself clear. And I think also having that hope, that someone may have a change of heart, because because you didn't really go into depth about, or maybe you weren't honest with yourself.
It's it's funny because I was um I was watching some interview on YouTube, and they were talking about like people who are wealthy, like I guess I guess you could say, like, just in America alone, as far as
Hmm.
like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, um, you say, Puff Daddy, Jay-Z, Beyonce. It was like they're actually a part of the 1%, as far as as far as wealth. And I was thinking to myself, it's interesting. It was interesting from the aspect that a lot of some, well, not a lot of, but some of these people, the majority of them, they actually come from nothing. And my point in saying all of that is actually interesting how someone can come from nothing and now be worth billions of dollars because of their creativity or God given talents. But I think also another aspect of that is just having the ability to see outside of your of what was once their current situation. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes I feel like, because I'm from Jacksonville, North Carolina. I moved to DC to get a job with the railroad when I was 20 years old, and had to basically start all over again in a whole different city where I'm not from. Didn't know anybody. Didn't have any friends, and it was scary. And I remember years before me and my wife got married, I actually had offered a family member to do the same thing, and they said no. Out of fear. I don't know anybody there. Blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I understand. I respect. And looking back at their life now, they're I guess living on the system, versus with myself. I'm not. I'm living pretty good working for the railroad, and I'm not bragging, but my point in saying that is, like, when you look at people like Jay Z, Beyonce, Bill Gates, or whoever, P Diddy, they could come from nothing. The what you call the 1%ers, they have the ability to see outside of their current situation. Like, they, even though they may have been broke in the gutter, eating mayonnaise sandwiches, they saw past that, and they saw a future where they had more. And I think a lot of people, even in relationships, they don't have the ability to see past their current situation. And for them, it's sad. It's sad because you end up spending your life with somebody who doesn't love you, or may never cherish you the way that God intended for you to be cherished, and it's truly sad, you know. And a lot of that, you know, stems from like the family member that I mentioned earlier. A lot of that stems from us not us, I guess, living in fear, not wanting to start over, not wanting to do something different. It's like, yeah, if I'll start over, if me moving from a small town in Carolina to DC or Baltimore or Virginia means me having a good lifestyle where I can provide for my wife and my kids and buy property and, you know, live successful, yeah, I'll gladly start over. You know what I'm saying? It's a challenge, yeah. But sometimes, you know, living like marriage is a challenge in itself, and I think marriage constantly kind of bringing this back around the third base. Marriage. One thing about marriage is it constantly reminds me of the need to grow. Like, you know, 'cause me and my wife, we always have discussions like, man, how do people be married for 25 years? Don't sleep in the same room and don't have sex. It's like, it's easy. It's actually quite easy for it to happen. You know, you guys start arguing a lot. You stop talking because you feel like, well, every time we talk, we always argue. So you start talking, and then you just begin to kind of exist in the same spirit, but you don't really have any kind of relationship or have any kind of intimacy as it relates to like conversation. You know, that's how it happens. And 25 years later, you doing you and she doing her.
But y'all still married.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you're in a roommate situation.
Sorry, drinking some
That ice good?
ice drink. Yeah.
Some ice drink.
I mean, well, juice and
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah. But no, but definitely, most definitely, I agree with that. Just living in fear. And that was another thing. I felt as though, I mean, you know, to your point, it's like, well, why not go to another place where you know you can provide for your family? But some people don't even think that they can get that. I think it's amazing how the Lord has blessed us to even come this far with, you know, to even say that we have a child, you know.
Yeah.
Right on cue, right?
Started from nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
literally started from nothing.
we started from the bottom. Now we here.
We got married. We was broke.
Nah, you was broke, brother. You was broke.
The only thing we had, the only thing we was full of was dreams. And I mean, and the you know, to the glory be to God, a lot of our dreams came true. You know,
Yeah.
all you need is God in a dream. That's really all you need is God in a dream.
God in a dream.
And that'll, I mean, because God's the one, in my opinion, God is the one who makes the dream, you know, become reality, you know.
No, I don't doubt that, but I mean, I find it interesting that you say that, because I think from the beginning of our marriage, we've just kind of laid down like this is what our vision is for our family. Even at the beginning of this year, I did a video about vision boards, and before you write your vision board, it could be full of carnal things, and it's like, you know, the Lord can bless you with those carnal things, like a car, something material, a relationship. Not a relationship. I don't think a relationship is carnal, but maybe the way you go about it could be carnal. A trip, a vacation, just anything. You know, the Lord can bless you with any of those things, with money, a job, position, a title, any of those things. However, the fact that, you know, you have a vision and you want to, you know, actually seek those things out and follow through, whether it be weight loss, anything. But it's almost as though, you know, unless you bring the Lord into it and pray on it and just also ask, like, okay, what is it that you want for our life, Lord? Like, I think that was one thing that you and I did in the beginning.
And still do.
Yeah, so prior to marriage, we had done that. When we first got married, you know, we had done that as well. Like, what is there something that you want us to focus in on? And especially, you know, last year and the start of this year, we had done it as well. Just really focusing in on, you know, what the Lord wanted for our lives. Now, we still wrote down the vision that we had in mind for ourselves and for our children. But, you know, I think it's just very interesting how just to see those things come to fruition, especially when we together pray about it, when we discuss it, you know, and we look back on it. Like, just to look back, like you said, when we first got married, we were broke. I joked and said, no, you were broke, but no, I mean, we're one. We're becoming one. We're moving as one. So for you
Nah,
and I to,
nah, you was broke too.
now I wasn't
You was
broke.
broke too.
I just, I got money in my savings, and I got switched over.
You
Sometimes
might have had $5 in that junk.
hey, don't be trying to put me on blast. Don't be
Might have had
putting
$5
me
in
on
that
blast.
junk.
My situation was a little different. But no, definitely, it's okay to be broke. It's okay to be broke as long as you're still working, right?
Hey, you work towards something.
As long as you're working towards something. Because not everyone, like, realistically, like, not everyone gets into adulthood with, like, a check handed to them from their parents, right?
Oh, can I ask you a question real quick?
Oh, Lord.
I'm curious,
Hmm.
like, because I mean, I have a family member who was under the impression that somebody broke up with them because he didn't have it. They make enough they didn't make enough money. So I was thinking to myself, like, what if you had, like, because when you met me, you like always say, oh, you was living with your mom, and I was.
Okay, no.
But hold on, let me finish my question before I
Lord.
forget. So what if like you was a gold digger and when you met, like you wouldn't date me because I was making no money, but let's say like now, like you used to like see me now as married to somebody else, we have kids, like how would you feel about that? Like,
I wouldn't feel no type of way, because if
he
that
probably
was the
still
case,
broke.
what are you talking about? If I was a gold digger, wouldn't I be on a flight to Dubai somewhere? Like, wouldn't I be on a flight somewhere and have, like, a situation, like someone who could, I don't know, I can charge my fantasies to, like, to their card or whatever?
I said that because I just think about people. I mean, it's men and women. I just think about people who do that, who may like kick their true love to the curb because they don't necessarily meet a financial like goal, or like they don't make like X amount of
They
dollars.
don't have a title.
Yeah.
But Dale, is that really true love? Because, okay, you brought up that I had liked to say that you were living with your mom, but that was a disclaimer. That was a disclaimer. When we first met, like, ladies, like, we size people up. It's kind of like, oh yeah, he rode with a friend, so he don't got no car. He mentioned he lived with his mom, so he don't get,
I was helping her out though because she had lost her job.
no, don't put her on the spot. But yes, but I didn't know that. But that was just from me, listening to the conversation that you were having with the group, that you were sharing with the group, and I was just sizing you up. Not to say that for us to date in the future, but just how the scenario played out. I was just kind of like, yo, this dude's a bum. He rode with someone, came late, and he lived with his mama. Oh Lord, here we go. But all of that turned out to not be true. Just as far as
Partially not true.
No, my perception of you from what I perceived from what you told me.
I was partially a bum.
You were okay. Well,
I was partially a bum.
Hey, you said it, not me. You said it, not me.
I'm just being honest, yo.
Okay. Well, I mean, you probably still could be a bum, even with a good job.
Ain't no bum no
Even with
more.
a good job, you could be a bum.
Ain't a bum no more, nah.
All right, fine. You're not a bum. Or if you a bum, you my bum, right?
Ain't nobody's bum because ain't no bum.
All right, fine. But no, but either way, we have these perceptions of people, based off of maybe like what we think that they should be. But I wouldn't trade all the millions of dollars in the world, to be with someone.
You say that now to you chilling somewhere in Dubai on a yacht.
I don't know. Okay, so hold
with
up.
A lion, with a lion beside you.
Look,
somebody feeding you grapes.
Hey, okay, so if I get there, then y'all check back in and be like, well, I remember episode da da da. So then check back in with me. But for right now, I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade, having someone who has like a pure heart
and substance to him.
Oh, you got substance?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, no, but I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade someone with a pure heart, with some substance, who has a group of people who hold them accountable and who can account for the type of person that they are. Like, that's one thing about your family, Dale. Like, meeting your family, everyone can give an account for your character. And not a lot of people can do that. Like, you've heard those horror stories where women, get to the altar and it's like, yeah, I've never met their family. I never met, and they say that they don't have. Oh, boom! Remember Married at First Sight?
I think I'm gonna say the TV show we're watching,
Oh,
Cherish the Day.
I don't endorse that TV show. Like I only watch it because you got it on.
Well, I only
But
watch Outlander because you play it, because you have it on.
I don't know about that. It's a good show. Anyway, not promoting these shows at all. Not promoting these shows. However, um, I truly believe that. I truly believe that, like, um, wait, I'm sitting there saying I truly believe that. Sorry. Let me go back because you threw me off trying to bring up these whack shows. But no, going back to the horror story, like I do think that if people were to, take a step back and be like, hey, so who in your family are you even close to? Not to say that, that would necessarily cause issues, because some people do separate themselves from their family because they want to get away from the drama and they want to, they want to start new. But then who are you actually surrounding yourself around? Yeah, I mean, from Married at First Sight. I don't remember what season it is, but it's definitely an older season that I made Dale watch with me. And I feel like I've heard those scenarios before, where it's kind of like, yeah, they're not close with their family, but it's because X, Y, and Z, and it's this like mystical reason as to why they're no longer with their family members. But at the same time, when they get married or even just get into a relationship with them, it is hell. It's like all hell breaking loose. Like, it's, what I'm saying? And it's almost like a terrible real life horror story.
I mean, I don't. And this is gonna be to a close, but I don't think it's hell. I just think that, in all seriousness, and in the heart of God, is that a lot of people, while they have a desire to be married, have a desire to be a husband, have a desire to be a wife, they've never actually seen a practical example. So a lot of them get into relationships, toward, like, marriage, or looking to marry, and they don't know how they don't know how to be a husband. They don't know how to be a wife, and oftentimes people's expectations are, it's kind of like you expecting somebody who's, I'll say, I use football terms. You're expecting someone who is a defensive lineman on a football team to throw the ball with accuracy. He's not a quarterback. He's a lineman. So why would he? I'm not saying he wouldn't, but that's not really the details of his job, or of his position to throw the ball with accuracy.
He's not doing that in practice.
His job is to block or go or tackle the quarterback. So why would he know how to throw? So I feel like people they have a desire to be married. They have a desire to be a wife, a mother, a husband, a father, but they don't know how. They've never had any practical examples. And I think that one thing about the Lord is that the Lord, he's righteous in the sense that he doesn't judge you for what you don't know, but he does present it to you, or give you the opportunity to be presented to, or to be around it, so that then he can judge you, hold you accountable. So I don't want to judge the gentleman. Now, yes, his behavior was very inappropriate, and it was kind of like off the wall. But in his defense, maybe I mean, from what he displayed from his past, and again, that's why knowing someone's past, it could be is good as well, because he talked about his past a lot.
Well,
so
he actually had divorced parents.
Yeah. So his wife, should have picked up on the red flags, or at least watch for certain areas. Oftentimes, I feel like when people discuss their past, we kind of hear them haphazardly. Like, oh, okay, well, he got his mom and they got divorced. Oh, okay, on to the next. It's like, no.
Yeah, but you love me, and love conquers all. I mean, because even to your example, I do want to say, even people who are seeking the Lord, who are Christian, who are walking in faith, and who goes to church, who is a faithful child of God, they still struggle with that. And I think, people don't understand that disclaimer. You still struggle with things. You still, you still have to walk things out. And you think, oh, well, it's just, maybe it's because they don't go to church. I've heard someone say before, oh, I give up on dating. I think, maybe I should have dated a church going girl, or someone who believes in God or who loves going to church, in their mind they thought it would be a different outcome for them, but it's like people are still struggling, even those who go to church.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that I will say. Is the biggest fruit you have to have in marriage is patience and long suffering. I think that's the two, because and I say patience because regardless of what you think your perfect wife or perfect husband is, they're gonna mess up over and over and over and over again. You know, in marriage, I've messed up over and over and over again. My wife, she's messed up over and over and over and over again. So it takes patience and long suffering. And I think that one of the things with God is that I think God gives us grace and mercy, so we then in turn can take that grace and mercy and display it to those who need it as well. So I think that that's probably the biggest attribute in marriage. I would say, if I had to say, I'll say four is forgiveness, love, patience, grace, and mercy. That's probably five. You know, grace and mercy, because I mean, you need those. Those are the very basic, essential things you need for a marriage to work. Without those, you can go ahead and call it quits. Even if you don't call it quits, it's done anyways. You know what I'm
Wait,
saying?
call it quits if you don't have those? Is that
I mean,
before
because
or already?
without those things, I don't even think a marriage can actually function. Without love, patience, forgiveness, grace, and mercy, a marriage it can't really even function. It can't function because they gonna piss you off. You got to be
And
able
the
to forgive
second
them.
they
You
do,
got to be able to forgive them, love them, and be patient with them, and show them grace and mercy.
yeah.
You know.
Well, maybe we should do another episode, just kind of going more in depth with those things.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I definitely enjoyed the conversation with you today.
most definitely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry again for the break, but like I said before, life happens. You can definitely ingest our podcast on Facebook, um, YouTube, Audio Mac, and you also post them on your Instagram as well, right?
I post snippets on our About This Love Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll post links to that in the description so you can definitely follow us on all those platforms. Thank you for listening to us today, and peace.